just go wait 2 hours on election day. And unfortunately, America's one of the few countries that don't give you the day off.
Yeah.
They do that purposefully.
Yeah.
Come on, they made the rules. This is based off of rules.
You might not be able to afford to take a day off, but guess who can? Rich people.
Yeah. Or the person with no job.
Tommy. So so really, we're trying to find ways to get people in the vote. Like, okay, if I tell you, hey, if I send you a push notification saying, hey, your precinct has a short wait right now, what's your excuse? I know that I heard all the excuses in the book while we're doing our surveys. I can't go, it takes 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. I say, well, what if I can tell you when the wait is not 2 hours? What if I can send you a push notification to say, this is when early voting starts? And what if I sent you a push notification every day telling you
for me.
early voting has begun in your district? Right. Early voting has begun in your district until you go ahead and vote. You know, reminding you of that. A lot of people know, okay, they know election day because it's a national day, but they don't know you can go vote a week in advance at your local library, get it out the way, and you're chilling on election day.
You know when I learned that? 4 seconds ago.
See?
I did not even know that was
There's early voting because they know not everyone can make it in that day.
That's
you
crazy.
know what I mean? And so there's so many things that people don't know, even super
Quality
educated
episode.
people like yourself.
That's crazy.
Quality episode.
You know?
You gotta tell me.
You know? He say he's taking all the credit for this one.
He deserves it.
No, we. Rich, if you would have taken it too, nigga. Bum ass nigga.
That is insane though. I didn't know that was...
It's all just information. I mean, like, obviously there are things that I've learned over the years I didn't know prior and stuff like that, and things I've learned today that I didn't know, you know, prior to this and everything like that. But between information, convenience. So let me ask you. So obviously, I remember you said that, you know, you said that you recall going to vote, and then it's just like, it was that experience that kind of made you feel like, okay, like this, like there has to be change in the sense of how people can have information to base their decisions. But like aside from that, like what else drove you to be so aware, both from a political perspective, but also a life perspective, and knowing how to mesh it all together to not only affect you, but those around you, those of your generation, those that are to come. Where does that come from? And mind you, like obviously you and I've had conversations.
Right.
I know a little bit of your background and your family and everything like that. I'm not sure if that plays a factor and everything like that. And plus Haitians, like, you got to know. Niggas suspect you to know the ABCs backwards by 2.
Right.
It's just that nuts. But explain that where it comes from you.
So for me, I've always been a very pragmatic person. Like, I would describe myself as a problem solver. So if I see a problem, I want to patch the problem. I want to fix the problem. So for me, that's something that's intrinsic and has been in me since I was a little girl.
Stop right there. If the problem doesn't affect you, do you still find the need to fix it?
Yeah, but that's what I think the difference is between working for someone else and working for myself. When I work for myself, the passion that I have to have within myself to wake up and drive me to do this every single day.
Oh, gotta be on 1,000.
Nobody's cutting me a check if I'm not cutting it myself. So I have to be, you know what I mean? Like, I have to have that passion.
Tweet now. And nobody cutting me a check, I'm like cutting my...
Like, that's it. So,
politicking, download it.
You gotta download it, and it's like, to be honest though, like, if you don't have that passion as an entrepreneur, people are gonna jump over you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's hard though. I'm not gonna lie, entrepreneurship is hard. You know, like, it would be much easier for me to go take a 6-figure job and live a happy life.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be revolutionary. It's not going to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the lives of so many people around me, like you said.
Thanks.
I can live the rest of my life doing pretty all right, and even doing great by most people's standard. But I want to be remembered for something that's greater than myself. And I feel like with politicking, I have the opportunity to do that and be the change that I want to see in my own community. Now, in terms of familial background and ties, definitely have a bit of politics within my familial background. My uncle was the last prime minister of Haiti. So not the current one, but the last one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so
definitely
and so for me, I was raised in a household where being a civil servant, and Jordan's mom is a mayor. So being a civil servant.
Indiana, what up?
Yeah, Indiana, what up? Gary, what up?
Oh, Gary.
Yeah,
Gary.
I know
She's from Gary.
Shout out to the boy. Freddie Gibbs, baby. Freddie Gibbs. Bandanas, go bump that.
Wow.
She would have loved that. But like, no, so being civil servants is something that is in our blood and in our upbringing. And we were always taught, yeah, it's great to be good, but you're not going to be the best if you're not lifting somebody up behind you.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. So for politicking, yeah, me, you, Jeff can sit up and we have the bandwidth to research every single one. Yeah. What about the people who don't? Thanks. What are we doing for them? You know? And so for me, it's not enough to excel independently. If I'm not collectively excelling, if I'm not bringing generational wealth back to my family, if I'm not bringing that back to my community, if I'm not changing lives, what am I doing it for? You know, what's the purpose? You know, impact. I think about my legacy all the time. And people are like, you're 27, what are you doing thinking about your legacy? I got to start thinking about it now.
You're not thinking, nigga, shit. You're thinking about it now.
But a lot of people aren't.
But you know what it is? But
most
see,
people
but as someone that tries to think from like both sides of the coin, like sometimes I get it, cause cats be going through shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now I'm not saying it's an excuse,
force
but
money to be like the main thing for us. That's what
you said. What?
Money is supposed to be the main priority. They force that upon us. So rather than thinking about
if you control the debt, you control everything.
Yeah, but like if I can't eat, you know what I'm saying?
Or opportunities.
That's why you know it's like on one side it's like, all right, you know, I want to go hard and try some shit, but I also want to eat. I want to start my own business, but I don't think that I can start my business right now and still be able to eat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's like a difficult
my kid
thing.
Gotta eat. Well, I know I got this $1 million
idea. That's gonna take me a little bit of time to get to.
Time.
Yeah. And I need my 40 hours a week.
And
I can't just be going to work 9 to 5.
And time, especially as I get older, I realize time is your most valuable asset.
Oh yeah.
If you ain't putting in the time, then everything like that. But if your kid, you know, is getting out of school at this amount of time, you know, you got to be there to get that kid up. Or that kid's gonna be staying there looking like what's going on, and then that's just, you know, starts mental, psychological games, and then it's just like, you know, it's so many roadblocks that just make things harder than it has to be. Not just the political process, but just the life process, how you view things. Like, I'm sure a lot of people want to do well
If it was
and
easy,
do by
everybody
others,
would do it.
Yeah.
right? But I'm not gonna. Sometimes I'd be like, and mind you, you know me, I'm the most chill cat probably ever. But it's like sometimes I feel like, fuck that. I gotta do me right now.
Yeah.
And that's a thing. But when we have ideas, well, excuse me, not ideas, like, pieces of art that come to life that you've brought to us nowadays, it's like, we got to make sure that we can back this up to the best of our ability. But the question is just like, it's like, there are so many distractions between media, between narratives, between TV shows, between substances that we're just feeding our brains, our bodies, our minds. It's just shit is so depressing sometimes.
It's tough. It really is tough, and it's like I understand 100% the plight of having a kid or having a family or having other responsibilities. Maybe it's not a kid. Maybe it's taking care of your sick mother. You know, like, there's so many responsibilities that we have to bear, and they are disproportionate to our communities. You know what I mean? Like, we, a lot of the time, have to take care of our families instead of the other way around. And I'm privileged that I am in a family that I can, and you know, that's what I realized is the difference between us and them a lot of the time. Jeff Bezos, we spoke about him a little bit earlier. Richest man in the world. We had a little Bezos talk, but we're bringing it back.
Yeah, money.
People don't seem to understand one of the reasons why Jeff Bezos is where he is he got a $300,000 investment from his parents.
Oh, I didn't even know.
I never knew that.
From his parents.
Oh,
they said, here's a little something to get you started.
What?
Now, our families
He was self-made.
can't necessarily do that.
Jeff.
You know what I mean? But think about it. It's within the family. You know, Kylie Jenner, youngest billionaire.
Oh yeah, see, I'm not gonna lie.
$200,000 from her family.
Kind of pisses me off when they say self-made. I'm like, bro, like, it's not act like this money wasn't being built over time through the family.
Money
like Ray J started it all.
Influence network. And all that equals that could get to billions. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people don't realize that initial investment, and it's so hard for Black and brown people to find that initial investment.
Unless it's the bank, and then the bank's not even giving personal loans, dealing with people, they're dealing more with companies.
The bank's not trying to give you a loan.
Not trying to give personal
what's your
loans.
credit? Do you own anything? They're like, no, you're too young. No, we're not taking a risk.
How much do you make?
You know, and then when you're an entrepreneur, if you can't show them the bank statements, let's say you want to be an entrepreneur, so you quit your job to pursue it full time. Now they're like, no, we're definitely not.
Make no money.
We're definitely not taking a risk on you. So, really, I think within ourselves, we have to do a better job at supporting each other within the Black community. You know, we just recently did a crowdfunding campaign, and we raised about $12,000. But our goal, as I was telling Jamal earlier, was $200,000. And I'm proud of the money we raised, but if you think about it, that's just a drop in the bucket. And I look at some of my white colleagues, they have all these networks. They can have one person back them with $10,000. They can have a couple people throw $50,000. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, we don't have the networks that people can throw around the money like that. My friend might be able to give me $500.
Yeah, if that.
If that. You know, most people were able to give $100, and that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot for them. So I have to be considerate too of like my demographic isn't necessarily the same network as the mediocre white man. You know, and they always say have the confidence of a mediocre white boy, but the networks that they have really surpass ours.
They don't count that because it's not like legitimate money right there. But you don't realize
it's
that
access.
network is access. Exactly.
It's access.
Access and influence. Right?
Shit is nasty, man. That shit is depressing. Let me ask you this. Obviously, okay. So we were in talks last year about bringing this opportunity to life, and from the interview, but also the app itself. So obviously, elections time is in the air. You know, things are smelling a little bit different. Not just for this upcoming election, but for elections to come. How do we define success through politics?
For us, I think it's going to be like, so investors ask that question a lot. So we kind of have it defined like we want a 10% increase of users on a monthly basis. That's a personal goal of mine. So if we have 100 people to start, we want to multiply that by that 10% and have that many users the next month. We want to see that constant increase, but also in a lot of like the startup books, they talk about vanity metrics, which are metrics that you use to make yourself feel better. The real metric we want to market by is, okay, Jeff's using my app. How long is he staying on my app when he uses it? Because the success of Instagram and Twitter is two things.
Facebook.
And Facebook, one, you use it at least once a day.
You know, come on.
At least once a day, you're hip.
Come on.
But then people are using these things several times a day.
Yeah.
It's called sticky activation because you're going back and back and back and back. It's not enough for 1 million people to just download Politicking. We need y'all using it.
Yeah.
Active. Showing me that, oh, you're on it for 30 minutes a day. This is where you're getting your political information now.
Data.
That shows value to advertisers as
That's the value to advertisers. That's the value to us because it's also showing us they're here for a purpose. They're actually coming back to receive information. And the best thing, if you think about like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, it's word of mouth.
The strongest form.
Think about it. Nobody ever advertised for that shit. What happened? How you got on Instagram? People were like, oh, let me show you something on Instagram. Oh, you don't have it?
Get on this. I don't even know.
It's like a couple people like, let me show you something. I'm gonna send you something on Instagram. Oh, you don't have Instagram? You need to get Instagram, dog. You old lame. You don't have Instagram. You don't have Twitter. You don't have Facebook. It's like, then you start feeling like, damn, my social capital is depleting quickly.
It was definitely 09. It was definitely 09, 010.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no. 09. No.
Instagram, I got later. I got like
09 was Twitter. 09 was Twitter for me.
09 was
Summer
like
2012 for me was
Yeah.
Instagram.
I was it from the beginning. It was just the iPhone users, gated community.
Yeah.
And then the gates came down. But
having that traction is super important to us. Not just having a ton of downloads. Yes, that's important, but having people that are actually like loyalists,
utilizing
it
on a high level.
What I want is for you, Jeff, like you say, you have the Politicking app downloaded, and you like using it. You're like, damn, this shit is so helpful. Yo, Jamal, did you vote yet? Like, you should really get this app. It told me everything I need to know.
Asking me that before I asked
You know what I
him,
mean?
But I feel that.
And then that's how word gets spread.
How now, as someone who's an entrepreneur himself, obviously, you know, the one of the biggest factors in you taking your product to really get into the highest shelf. That's hard. I'm taking that. Is the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Obviously, like we say, word of mouth, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, YouTube if possible. So, what forms of marketing have you used the most?
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking to possibly get into, and then have been the most profitable thus far in really getting people to know about this app? Because for me, it's like I always talk to my boy and I'd be like, yo, bro, all you gotta do is put like $1,000 in Facebook promo, nigga. Fuck, this shit is known from here to Beijing and back.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, that sounds very simple, and it may just be that simple, and I could be completely off. But as far as marketing and really bringing it to life now, aside from you having these panels, talk to investors, like what other ways have you felt has been really good for making that connection with the people that can really utilize it at the rate that you want to use it?
To be honest, it's things like this, right? Like the lunch table, because you guys have the followership and the demographic that we're trying to hit. The issue sometimes with like it's true. The issue with like sometimes like Facebook or Instagram ads is like it doesn't necessarily always hit the people you want it to hit. I had to do this in my accelerator the other day because I'm in the tech accelerator currently, which is basically like startup boot camp. They made us draw our ideal early adopter. Early adopters are the people that are going to use it before it blows up to everybody else.
Oh, so the beta users?
Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much people like Jamal, people that are already interested in politics, but don't know everything they feel like they need to know. People that they might read like the New Yorker or the Atlantic. They pride themselves on being politically savvy. However, they don't necessarily have all of the tools that arms them, and they don't necessarily want to spend their time doing hours of research. They would love to have something that synthesizes it for them. One-stop shop. So they made us basically draw a caricature of this person, and I was like, okay, it's important to identify these people because these are the first 13% or so of people that are going to download the app.
Yeah.
From there, market penetration will allow it to diffuse